certified. As you may have noticed, I'm a certified boomer. I forgot to turn on my audio. So, welcome everybody, and thank you for being here on a lovely Saturday morning. I hope you are all well. And I also wish one day to meet as many of you personally in a place where life is good, but in a physical place, so I can um, give you a big hug and thank you for being here. Um, the places we are going to this morning are not physical locations. They are different. Um, they are within us and with our learners. Um, as Chantal said, all I do and all I have been doing in my life is teaching, researching. I practically eat, sleep, drink, teaching. This is all I've done my whole life. And I have seen so many teaching methodologies come and go all these years, you know, direct method, silent method, CLIL, TPR, the lexical approach. And over all these years, I kept asking myself, but what is missing? And thanks maybe to my experience of so many years in the profession, and above all, thanks to meeting wonderful colleagues in this journey, and now also this wonderful group that we are with at the moment. More and more so, I realized what was missing, and that was the color, the warmth, the wonder in the classroom, the positive psychology. It doesn't matter what method we are using. Um, I use I use a method called the no method because I have humans in front of me, and so I got very interested in positive language, compassion, and I keep on believing that this is the way to go, especially in the world that we are facing nowadays. And so I'd like to share this with you. I chose to speak about places we go when life is good, for a number of reasons. One is the situation at the moment. My apologies. And another is that we're we're alive. We can meet, and this is why it's so important. Um, it's a place where we go to. We're alive. We can still meet, and we are passionate. We are passionate about what we're doing. But above all, it's something personal. Where is that heart? That heart is in South Africa, and that is my home. That is where I was born. That is where the most important years of my life were, for 40 years. And that's where I was able to develop the warmth, the colors, and the wonder, and the places, this interior journey of mine. And therefore, this is the reason I chose to speak about places we go when life is good. There were lots of other topics I could have chosen, but I chose to speak about life is good because that's joy. Now, You may recognize this image. It's called The Creation of Adam by Michelangelo. And across history, people have used art to explore what it means to be human. There is no religious meaning in this, it's just used to explain what it means to be human. And I'd like you to take a look at this image. And what is it that you notice first? If you can, in the chat box, um, just write, what is it that you notice? Is it the expressions? Uh, um, is it the colors? And just, if you can write in the chat box, that would be wonderful.
Stefania, can you see the chat box or would you like me to?
Uh, no, I can't.
Okay.
Sorry.
So
Uh-huh.
some of the answers are the hands together, the almost touch, the almost connection, the touching, the hands, the suspicious expressions on the angels' faces, touching a
Wonderful.
naked body, the desire for contact, the calmness.
Oh, thank you. Now, that small gap between the two fingers can be seen in many ways. But today, what we're going to speak about is um, the space of connection. Um, as teachers, uh, our role is to share knowledge and not only, but to recognize the person in front of us and to meet them in this space of connection. So when we are teaching, we are standing on one side of the space, and our learners are on the other side. So here is a question to reflect on. What helps us as teachers um, connect? What helps us bridge this gap with our students? And again, I'm going to ask Chantel to kindly read out the chat box because I'd like you in your chat box to um, write your thoughts that what helps us as teachers bridge that gap with our students.
Okay. When Barbara wrote immediately empathy,
Yes, Barbara.
when they know we care, presence and
Yes,
loving kindness, sometimes humor, understanding the person beyond the classroom, open,
yes.
empathy, listening, posture, face expressions, caring, being humble, love,
Trust,
commitment.
trust. Yes, great. Um, these um, this is meaningful learning, and meaningful learning doesn't just happen through content. It happens in that moment when we truly understand and see each other in the face. Um, so let's just take a look at us as humans, the real human nature. Now, the real human nature, so we were created and we've got this human nature. It's not meant to suffer. And it's heartbreaking when I hear a lot of colleagues who complain about their role, their profession as teachers, and also with learners who find it hard to be taught to stay in class. But it turns out that the masters of the past were always always agreed that our human nature was not designed to be fearful nor to harm and neither to suffer. Because our human nature is to be able to investigate, to experience, to come to know about the world we live in. And a tendency we might have towards judgment or being impatient to aggression is really harmful to everybody, even to ourselves. So if a human being is not being, sorry about the play with words, is not being human, then you come to the conclusion that life is not life. Human nature is happy. It's spiritual, if you like. It's alive. It's enthusiastic. And human nature is not afraid to experiment and to experience an inner journey. You know, human nature cries. And when it has to cry, it laughs. When it's time to laugh, and it becomes angry as well, but never harmful. When we are connected with our real nature, we see positively. We see the face of love in, in every student, in every learner that we have in class. Then we realize, well, I might have to be patient because that is part of nature. Our human nature is a companion of ours in the journey we are in. So it is vital that we know um, and we understand our origin to know who we are. Therefore, that is the importance of meditation and reflection, because this is the way in which we can work through the different levels of our mind in order to reach, a space of calm and guidance. Hermann Hesse stated that inside man there is someone who knows everything. Um, so, importance. We need to know and understand who we are and our origin. And then we go on to our soul. Now, our soul is a set of values. And as I wrote from my research, our soul expresses itself through the mind. The mind is a vehicle, it's a vehicle where virtues and thoughts flow, longing for the good of others. And then our emotions. We, we need to perceive happiness, the feeling of beauty, harmony, openness. That's part of the human nature. And then, actions. The actions work to the end of feeling of suffering in others. So a smile is an action. So a smile in class is an action. A relaxed expression when we are facing a tense situation, here is the soul. So if these gestures I've noticed are lacking or they're distorted somehow, they're not real, I feel we cannot touch the soul of others. So we lack soul. So we were created. Um, we have a human nature, and we have this soul, and we need to be in touch with the soul, um, to, to end the feeling of suffering, because we don't realize, but we do. This is why we hear that a lot of our learners are suffering for a number of reasons. And so this smile that is real, because we are happy, we're in harmony with ourselves, with our soul. Um, well, that makes a big, big difference in class. Um, it will become more interactive as we go along, because I get tired of listening to myself. So I can imagine, that um, this is very deep sometimes, and oh, I I need to digest all this. But being the wonderful group you are, all I can say is let's take a look at our emotions. The, the emotions, I've put this slide coming from from the sea. Happiness is a place we go to when life is good, and we go to peace. What an important word. We go to serenity. Compassion. Yes, we've spoken a lot about compassion in our past webinars. Beauty, love, and joy. These are some of the emotions that we have when we go to these places when life is good. Unfortunately, there isn't much time to, analyze each of these emotions deeply, because they are very different. But here we go. Personally, I don't think there is a better wish for someone you care about. There is no better wish than saying, I wish you joy and happiness, but above all, I wish you love. And I think you can recall these words from a song, I Will Always Love You, written by Dolly Parton and successfully sung by Whitney Houston in the film The Bodyguard. I can still hear, I will always love you, and I wish you joy and happiness, but above all, I wish you love. And she was singing this to her bodyguard. So in our body, we have the human nature, and we have the soul, and then we have these emotions. Now, um, joy and happiness um, are very different. We experience them differently, but we need both. Um, and joy and happiness are different and have a different effect on us. Now, happiness. Okay. I think I chose these pictures when I was, putting the slides together with you, because this is me, really. I experienced these actions because happiness is stable, it's longer lasting, and it's normally the result of effort. So the effort we put in when preparing our lessons, the effort we put in to classroom management, um, we um, we're sort of in control, okay, with happiness. So we're in control of the classroom thanks to our experience. Um, Happiness is lower in intensity than joy, and it is more self-focused. So the Greek word for happiness is makarios. Makarios. Makarios was used to describe the freedom of the rich, of the wealthy people from normal cares and worries. Am I going to make it to the end of the month, sort of thing? And also refers to a person who perhaps received good fortune. Um, it is a sense of being in control, which is more internal. Sorry, is joy. Happiness is more external. So this is why I chose these pictures. Um, I can still enjoy skipping if my knees permit. Um, and I can have an ice cream because I know that will make me happy. And over the years, I've experienced that I can have ice cream. Um, I still want to share my knowledge with my colleagues, with my learners in class. And therefore, this is happiness. It's longer lasting. So, in class we say, "Are you happy?" We've got to really think about this emotion. And this emotion is different to joy. Now, joy, the Greek word for joy is kairos. So we've got kairos, um, as described by the ancient Greeks, is the culmination of being. It is the good of the soul that comes with wisdom. And there is definitely something soulful about wisdom. It is an intense feeling. It is a spiritual connection joy. It is pleasure. It is appreciation. It's sudden. Joy is sudden. It's unexpected. And it is characterized by the connection with others. It can be with colleagues, with nature, or with your beliefs. And joy expands our thinking and our attention. And it fills us with a sense of freedom and abandon. Like it was a joy yesterday morning when I finished my project with one class, and the colleague gave me this little bracelet. It was unexpected. And also the light that I saw yesterday morning um, was a joyful day for me. At 6:30, there was an incredible light in my kitchen, and I looked out of the window, and there was a full rainbow. And the first word that came into my mind was the French arc-en-ciel, because it was really an arch, a complete arch, a semicircle in the sky of a rainbow. And this was my connection with nature, with the universe, with the creation of life. So the colors. So I really, that moment, thought about the good mood of the soul. And that is the moment I experienced joy. And the colors seemed much brighter. And the physical movements I had when I walked out of the classroom with this bracelet on my arm felt so much easier, lighter. It's like smiling. It happened spontaneously. And even weeping can be part of experiencing joy. So now it's your turn to write in the chat box. When did you last experience joy? So I can rest because of the age. Thank you.
Okay, Stefania, so just give them a
Hey,
second that I think they're writing, and then I'll share the answers with you.
thank you.
So
Yes.
someone, yeah, someone has written lovely skipping rope with my students during break.
Oh,
How lovely. I could add a beauty moment with my little daughter last night. We put on face masks. She wanted to have a mummy girly time, and that was very nice. Somebody else wrote this week, reading sentences my students wrote about what school means to them. Uh,
oh.
Another wrote, I also got a bracelet from one of my students 2 weeks ago. Uh, Selena has written, reading a lovely book, listening to birdsong early in the morning, hugging a stranger, listening to the birds and watching the beautiful sky. So a lot about nature. It was
Yeah.
yesterday actually when my colleague and I went outside with our students and the weather was perfect and we had such a pleasant time.
Yes. So aren't these places we go to when we feel good? And then if we think about it, these are places we want our students to go to as well. And we go to calm. Uh, Calm is creating perspective and mindfulness while we're managing emotional reactivity. And this is important to ask ourselves. Do I have enough information to freak out? No. Will freaking out help? Well, the answer is always no. So calm isn't just being quiet, be calm. No, that is not calm. Calm is not being emotionless, calmly. This is language that we use. Um, Calm is a state where your mind is steady, your body is not overacting, and you can respond rather than reacting. Well, you're still feeling things. It's just that you're not overwhelmed by them. Your breathing is deeper and it's slower, but this doesn't mean that you like the situation. An example is now, this is happening. I'll deal with it. Because if you resist, it will cause more stress. But if we accept, then we are in control. I had the one colleague say to me, I walked into class and immediately I didn't like them and they didn't like me. And I thought, aha, this is not acceptance. So, we have many of these situations. For example, a colleague might criticize your work at school. This happens. Ah, so, what do we need to do? Okay, pause 2 or 3 seconds. Take a slow breath in. Inhale and exhale through the mouth. And we say to ourselves, let me understand this first. And ideally, we can respond to this criticism by asking, can you explain what you mean so I can improve? Because that is actually what matters right now, is creating this state of calm. Because this is where serenity comes in, which is one of our words in emotions. Serenity is a deep inner calm. It's emotional and it is mental. So calm gives us a pause, and serenity keeps us grounded. And all these wonderful emotions that we have take us to this place that makes us think that, not makes us think, shows us that life is good no matter the situation we are in. And now, if we can take a moment and think of one of our classroom moments. So we can sit with our feet flat on the ground and our hands either on our table, our desks, on our laps, and relax our shoulders. And we can, if you like, close your eyes, and we're going to inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth, and we'll do it for 3 times. We can share this. We can take 1 or 2 minutes to share, and I can hear your voices, and let's tell each other, which emotion do we want to cultivate most in our classroom this coming week? Do we want to cultivate joy or happiness or calmness, serenity, peace? So it will be lovely. If you like, you can. We can talk about this for a couple of minutes. Is that okay, Chantal, rather than having them write?
Yes, yes, of course.
Okay. So I'd love to hear your voices and, you know, which emotion that we have seen so far would you like to cultivate, even emotions that perhaps we haven't had time to analyze? I'd love to hear that. Who would like to break the ice?
Yeah. Barbara has her hand up. Yeah, Barbara,
Yes.
Yes.
please.
Hi. Hi. Thank you first for this lovely, lovely um, hour or so. The thing that I would like to cultivate, and I've been trying to do that for a while now, with purpose, I mean, is, well, the first thing would be love, just very general, but otherwise, I would definitely choose peace.
Yes. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank
And
you.
I'm glad of the results that you had in Hungary. Yes, someone else? Okay. Um, Perhaps you we need more time to think about this because it's a lot of information, a lot of emotions, and um, we need time to think about them. So now we can continue with the breath of life. So um, again, I chose some art, this painting by Botticelli, um, where Venus emerges from the sea. And this is why I had the emotions coming from the soul. Um, um, Here, Venus is gently carried to shore, um, the breath of life. And she's guided by the wind, and it is our breath that supports and carries us, especially when we feel overwhelmed or disconnected. And breathing is short and needn't disrupt our lessons and what we are doing in class. And we'll see this. Hopefully, we've got time. So, focusing on the breath helps us to anchor ourselves, in the present moment. So even a few seconds of inhaling and exhaling, uh, like Venus, who is centered and calm with a lot of movement going around her, we can find the stillness within us. Um, Especially when it becomes chaotic in class. And doing mindful breathing will definitely help us again anchor. So when instead of being overwhelmed by emotions, talking about, you know, not the places we go to when we feel good, but other emotions. Um, these emotions, we can observe them and we can move through them gradually and feel much lighter and more in control of what we're doing in class. So let's remember that just as the wind carries Venus safely to shore, our breath can carry us back to calm. When thoughts and feelings feel like a storm, I'm going to rush out now. Uh, I'm going to fail this student. Oh, somebody knocking at my door, and I'm in the middle of explaining the present perfect or something. Um, so this breath, learning to breathe consciously is what I've learned and what we have learned. And thanks My heartfelt thanks to Jose for setting up this wonderful project. Sorry, where we learn to breathe. My apologies. Where we learn to breathe consciously, and to reconnect with all that we've been doing in these webinars, to reconnect with ourselves. In mindfulness and in life, paying attention to something, as simple as breath can open up a space of clarity, of creativity. And again, I'm using this word freedom, emotional freedom, because the breath we have lives within us from the moment we are born and leaves us when we die. And this again is a gift of creation. But, it's common frustration sometimes when you are already feeling overwhelmed and you haven't finished off what you've got to do in class, or you're bored, that we tell our students, just breathe in. No, 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 no. That is like being told, calm down in the middle of an argument, and causes the exact opposite effect. So in traditional mindfulness that you know much more than me, focusing on your breathing and clearing your mind isn't always, though, hitting the mark. Your brain might need engagement, might need to be actively engaged rather than uh, passively observing, because um, mindfulness is not always everybody's cup of tea, depending on the class we have. So to keep our students grounded, I have a little activity which perhaps it's called 3, 2, 1. Three, I ask them to look for 3 things, but in specific detail. For example, the way the light is hitting the desk, or the writing on the board. What is it that they see? The untidy way the posters are hanging in the classroom. 2 things that they hear, perhaps the scratch of a pen or somebody moving their chair. And then 1 thing they feel. That can be the texture of their pullover or their skin. Because, as I said, mindfulness sometimes often asks for stillness, but I mean, it's not for everybody. But we need to reach these students in order to teach these students. So I have something called toe scrunchers. And this is called controlled fidgeting. So I ask them, okay, now curl and curl your toes. We can do it. So I'm curling and uncurling my toes, and I'm focusing on the sensations. On the sensations. My toes hurt because yesterday I wore a new pair of shoes. Everything seemed to have happened yesterday. The joy, the happiness. I had a big ice cream on the way home, and yeah, So that is one way of controlled fidgeting. They are sitting down, but they've got sensations. Another is, okay, take your pen or your pencil and doodle, or trace a shape over and over and over. So for us teachers, there's silence, sort of, but they're engaged and it's mindful. Or one of my favorite, which I'm going to ask you to do, is the cognitive distractions. So, triggery listing. Are we ready? Silently list the name of 10 breeds of dogs. 10 breeds of dogs. Okay. Or counting. And I've noticed somehow that the boys like this reverse counting more than the girls, but I wouldn't want to generalize. And that is counting backwards from 100 by sevens. I get to 93. And then it'll take so long. But again, um, these are little activities I do when I see that, mindfulness, the breathing in, is not really working. And then if this doesn't work, what do? I drop the rope, and it's acceptance. Because sometimes stress might come from trying to be mindful. And so what do? I can open a window and let in a sudden cold sensation. And the sudden cold sensation will trigger the mammalian reflex, which slows down the heart rate. And this is relaxation and concentration on the heartbeats. I don't know if you can hear the heartbeats. This is very difficult for us to do in class, but you can try it at home. And the best position for this would be to lie on your back with your arms open, your legs open, a pentagon shape, which is ideal for deep breathing, like the Vitruvian Man by Leonardo da Vinci. Because this Vitruvian Man symbolizes harmony. It symbolizes the microcosmo, which is man, woman. And it symbolizes the macrocosmos, which is the universe. And man, we are the center. And we can measure all this. So isn't it wonderful, this creation, the soul, the emotions, the power that we have to go to places where sometimes we forget that will make our students feel alive, and um, they can understand that it's absolutely beautiful to be where they are, no matter how hard it is. And we go to wonder. Now, wonder fuels our passion for exploration and learning. And it's for curiosity and adventure. So in our classrooms, we are not just teaching English, we are offering our students a chance to connect, to express, and to belong. And wonder is the engine of life. It is the very engine, and it is one of the purest forms of joy um, with which we are born. And at the end of the day, it boils down that wonder is life. Um, and research is finding that there is evidence that curiosity that is in wonder is developing a way of developing our memory, our intelligence. Wonder is emotional. Look, this is what wonder looks like. This is how it feels. It is noticing the unusual. Wonder is the respectful ambiguity. It is openness. And this is what it does to us. This is wonder. It is the spark of curiosity. It is that student who asks us a question that stops us in the middle of our track. That is wonder. And this is what we need in our classroom to have our students wonder. So forget about giving them the answer immediately. Have them come up with it. Have them be curious. Chantal, how much more time have I got?
Well, don't worry, Stefania, you have another like 10 minutes if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm very bad at this. After so many years of being in the profession, I still need to learn how to pace. But okay, it's all right. So thank you for that. So um, we get then to uh, warmth. Okay. So warmth is not an extra, as I wrote. It is the oxygen of learning, while wonder is the engine of life. Oxygen um, is given by warmth. So go back to the third slide of the two fingers, that connection. That is warmth. So I chose this picture for a reason, and the reason this is a newborn baby, newborn baby's hand holding a finger. And I chose it because this was my daughter's very first C-section as a surgeon. And she said, Mom, the first thing this little girl did was she held my hand. And this is Vygotsky reminded us that learning happens first between people, then inside the individual. Um, and it's centered on reflection, and it's giving access to cognition. So warmth is sharing the joy. It makes learning come alive. It is a lasting human value, and it invites us to be even more human than what we think we have. And also, if we think of Stephen Krashen in the affective wall. So when anxiety, steps in, we have something in the brain that sort of stops this. Because warmth is the bridge that language creates between people. And so I think that warmth is not softness, it is a neurological society inside. And this is where I'd like you for a couple of minutes in the chat box to say, how did you feel with a teacher who you remember? Who remembers a teacher who made you feel seen? That as we remember, as we noticed, noticing the face of our learners, the love that can come out of their faces and of our smiles, of our reassuring them. How did that teacher make you feel? Who remembers a teacher who made you feel seen? So 1 minute in the chat box. And if you can just write, and we can share, how did that teacher make you feel?
Okay, so some teachers have written, Stefania, my primary teacher, my drama teacher, they made them feel happy. Happy came up twice immediately.
Yes. I
Um,
can, yes.
yeah, and somebody else wrote that they made me feel safe to learn and to be able to make mistakes. In high school, my literature teacher, she made me feel curious. My second philosophy teacher, he really knew how to listen, and I felt seen and heard. Isn't that lovely? They made me
Yes.
feel understood, inspired.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for, bearing with this long talk that I'm giving you and still having the patience to and the will to write these things. Thank you for that. We are really sharing this time together, and this is one of the best feelings. So, if we notice the emotions in class, we can see the colors, we can see laughter, the small spark of wonder, and the feelings that arise both in us and in our students are positive. And then we get up to the last bit, which is color. So we color our thoughts by what we love, what we want, what we know, what we feel, what we read, what we do. Now, this palette of colors, or palette in le français, who are they? They are our students, they bring the color because they bring the culture, and culture is color in the classroom. So walk into our classrooms. It's like a blank canvas, but then we have all the colors. Um, because each and every one of them is a color. Because um, color is culture. It is play. There is creativity. It is the music of language. And when I wrote, no tile is insignificant, it's because I'm referring to the mosaic in this picture, that everybody is important. So each and every person in this classroom, which is not a classroom really, it's an art studio. And we are the artists. And the colors we get from our learners. And the masterpiece is not finished because there is this wonderful masterpiece that we are creating every time with our students. And we are really the mirror, the Picasso. My apologies for referring to a lot of art this morning, but art is a form of passion that I was able to cultivate these years. And so this is the image of this little girl is the same little girl who sent me the picture of the newborn baby holding the finger. And I chose this picture because there is awe, there is wonder. Look at all the different colors that I can have by mixing the colors. There was this connection because we were in South Africa. She was 4 years old, and my brother um, uh, said, well, let her play with colors. And I said, oh, I mean, she's going to get dirty. And he said, no, let her experience the creativity, which is the color. Used as a metaphor here, the color. And she was able to experience wonder, warmth, and color. So we can do that in our classrooms. We have our students experience wonder. We respect their cultural differences. We connect with them. We show them our care for them. And this really makes it our classroom a physical place that is of joy, but mainly let's think of ourselves. So this was my daughter's idea of self-realization, if I think about Abraham Maslow's peak of the pyramid, where the student feels and you feel, this is my idea of self-realization. And this was the idea of by the expression of the face and these inner feelings of, wonder, warmth, and color. So the Atlas of the Heart The heart and the brain, when the heart and the brain are together, don't we dance better? Um, and we go to wonderful places. So, just to recap, this is where we went to this morning, where life is good. Joy, happiness, calm, tranquility, serenity, gratitude. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to learn with you, to share with you. And content. I am very pleased, very happy to be free to carry on being happy. And also a relief to see that difficult moments can be wonderful moments um, in our place, in our place as a human being in the classroom, and that our students are not content. They are the feeling, they get the feeling of being present, of being noticed, and of being alive. And this is my daily aim, is that I have this feeling, but above all, that my students have the same feeling. And I would really like to thank you for patiently listening to me. And what I said at the beginning, I really do look forward one day to meet you in person and to share what makes us such great, wonderful human beings that we are, because this is who we are this morning. And thank you, Jose. Again, I'm sure you can hear us and you can see us all from where you are. And for everybody attending the webinar and for the organizers, I really am very privileged and honored to have had this time to share with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefania. It was, I mean, I don't think inspiring is even the right word to describe it. I think there's so many beautiful comments in the chat box for you that it was a moment of happiness. Everybody is so grateful for you, sharing your passion and your experience and your knowledge. And I mean, it's so visually beautiful as well what you shared with us. It was just a lovely, lovely session, and so many,
Thank you.
I think, positive reflections as well. Stefania, I know that for me, one of the things I'll definitely take away is what you said towards the beginning, which was our human nature wasn't designed to be fearful or to harm, but human beings have to be human, and human nature is happy, alive, enthusiastic, and it's just so hopeful to hear that, especially now with the world that we're living in. So I'm
Yes,
incredibly grateful. We all are. Thank you so, so much for giving up
thank
your
you.
time
And
for.
I apologize for having, uh, you know, said so much and haven't given you time to talk about this, because um, there is lots and lots that you can share. And I am touched. I really am touched by the wonderful comments that you have for this hour we spent together. And yes, I think I was very, I don't know what happened the day I met Anna Pirsch. Uh, and she uh, spoke to me, and I said, oh, this is what I need. After all these these years, I'm right, there is somebody that I can share with. And then meeting all of you. Um, and this was a wonderful experience. And it still is that I will always carry in my heart. So thank you. And have a lovely weekend ahead. And
Thank
good
you,
luck
Stefania.
for our teaching
Thank you.
in
Thank you so
difficult
much.
times. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
You've given us all energy this morning. It was really beautiful being in your lovely presence. Thank you,
Thank you.
and thank you to everyone who joined us again. It's lovely to have this shared community, and this will be our last monthly webinar. And so we're so happy that Stefania has closed it for us. But we're sort of excited to announce that we're going to have a little mini conference towards the end of June, something to celebrate the end of the school year, a moment of reflection, and also to welcome the sun and the positivity of the summer. And so stay tuned, and we'll be sharing details of that very soon. Okay, so thanks again to Stefanie for her wonderful webinar. Thanks to Zainab, Anna, and Bogi, our lovely team that we're working together, and to all of you for being with us. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll be
Thank
in touch
you.
soon. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. See ya.
Zainab.